Hello, my name is Name, and if this is your first time seeing my face, welcome. If you've been here before and you've seen me before, welcome back. I want to talk to you about my sabbatical, the places I've been, and I want to start with the very first place that I've been, which was Mexico. In Mexico, I spent, first of all, it was not my first time visiting, but the time I'd visited Mexico before this sabbatical, I spent, I think it was like a week or maybe 8 days, and it was a resort. It was a luxury all-inclusive resort that did I leave the resort or not? I don't even remember. But most of the time was definitely spent, at least most of the time was spent on the resort. There was all included alcohol, lots of restaurants, lots of pools, that was my experience, a resort. This time I went into a city. I picked a city, well, two cities, but I really spent most of my time in Merida. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Merida. And so that was the main place I stayed in, but I also went towards the end. I went to Mexico City, and then I flew out of Mexico City, but the main place I was in was Merida. And I want to talk today to you about my highlights. There's so much that I can say about all these places, and I'm never going to be able to share everything, but I'll just share some of my highlights today, things that I really enjoyed about being there, about getting to live there, we can say. I was there for about 2.5 weeks. I rented this Airbnb and I had the best host. It was like a little compound or villa situation, and I had the house, what would that call the house? How, like a studio apartment. So I had like the studio at the top towards the back. It had some good like tropical plants. It had like a very beautiful welcome or entryway, and my host provided me with drinking water. I think I had to pay for it, but it was no, he provided me with like a big, maybe 2 or 4 liter bottle, and then when it ran out, I was there for 2.5 weeks, so it ran out. He was thankfully selling those big jugs of refillable water, so I bought it, but it was an awesome cheap price. Changed my sheets, my towels, whenever I needed toilet paper. And the funny thing, or maybe the not funny thing, is he didn't speak one word of English, and so I had to muster up Spanish that I don't really have. And I think that is, I'll start there. That is one of my highlights. Okay, so wait, my first highlight will be the Airbnb that I chose, the space that I chose. It was really good. The outside of it, like once I stepped out of that compound, it didn't feel like the coziest of neighborhoods, if I'm being honest, but if I walked 1 block, I was where the life was at. So as for location, 1 block was where things were happening, but it was prime location. It just didn't look razzle-dazzly. It just didn't look as good, the outside of the neighborhood, but 1 block is where the life was at. Also, right around the Airbnb, there was 2 amazing cafes, 2 or 3, I'll say 2, since that's what amazing cafes, good food, good music. One was a cafe and like an art space, and the other was just a cafe, but it was like this indoor outdoor, actually both were indoor outdoor, just lovely cafes on the same block with that Airbnb. So no, the Airbnb is definitely, or was, my highlight. My host, the space, it was a good peak for me, just a cozy little space for me. And then the second thing will be the Spanish. I had to learn some Spanish being there, just by being there. And maybe I already had a mind that was open to learning languages too. But there's some places that I went to when I was in Merida that no one spoke English. Like I will try to like mix English and the people will just look at me like I remember I was looking for body lotion. My body lotion ran out as expected, and I was looking for lotion, and I was trying to explain like body lotion and going to pharmacies, going to regular stores, and finally I learned that the word for body cream or body lotion was loción corporal. And really I said that, people were like, yes. Everything I was looking for, I was looking for contact solution at one time. The Google Translate was not giving me what it was called. So I basically had to like look for Spanish, look for it. And the good thing is, because I learning French, or because I know basic French, many of the words were very similar, Spanish and French. So I would kind of use my French brain / common sense to like be like, oh, this might mean this. But yeah, it was very fun how by the end of my time there I had already gathered a whole lot of Spanish, and it made me really interested in actually learning Spanish now. So yeah, it was very fun to be thrown into some kind of immersion, because I was not in a resort, I was with the locals, I was with the people, and so that was kind of fun. Okay, the third highlight from my time in Mexico, Merida, and Mexico City would be the food. I have to confess, and I don't know how this is gonna come across, but I didn't like Mexican food. Very hot take, very weird, because everyone seemed to like it, but I didn't quite like it before this trip. And then spending this time in Mexico, I'm finding that in my travel, that when I get to know the people, when I get to know the culture, when I get to see the city, I get curious, I sit in these places, I ask questions, I observe, then I'm able to, or at least with Mexico, then I was able to love the food too. I understood. I did quite a bit of tours in Mexico just out of curiosity. But I really wanted to understand the people some more, because their country just felt so beautiful to me, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know all of this. I didn't know why they ate so much corn. That's all they could grow. I'm not a historian, so I'm gonna step out of this topic real quick, but I love Mexico, and I love Mexican food now. So the food, the drinks, the maracuya is one of my favorite fruits. Maracuya is passion fruit. Agua de Jamaica, which is hibiscus drink, or hibiscus tea. Oh my god, the amount of agua de Jamaica and agua de maracuya, and like the amount of just lovely tropical drinks that I had, and ice creams and gelatos, and the food there, oh my god. I even went to this, very randomly went to an Italian restaurant in Mexico, right there in Merida, and I think this brings me to my next thing, which is the people. Is this my fourth thing? Yeah, the people. I met a local there, I think Jorge was his name, and the food there was amazing. I had to ask, like, I'm like, who's cooking this? And they said I met the chef, and the chef apparently trained in Italy. It showed. It was amazing, and I went back to that restaurant maybe once or two more times while I was there because it was just awesome food. And so yes, the people as well. I met so many awesome locals that, like Jorge gave me his phone number or email address. Older man in his 60s, so this was just a two people connecting thing. And another woman, I believe her name was Jacqueline, she was my Uber driver to the airport or so, or to the airport, and she asked me how I experienced the country, lots of questions, and she gave me her number, writing down her number as she was driving the Uber me to the airport. And I was like, oh my god, this one's gonna crash us. But she just really wanted me to have her name and number if I ever come back. She was telling me about festivals that they have that I maybe had just missed, and I could have done this and this, and I was like, hey, you know what, I can always come back. And she gave me her number. She's like, please call me if you ever come back. I can think of like 3 other awesome locals that I actually sat to have long conversations with. The people made me feel so welcome. The people made me feel so welcome. Another highlight is definitely the look that I got everywhere I travel. I kind of observe, I can't help but observe how people look at me. In Mexico, the look was a look of, it was a respectful look. I never felt oogled at. I never felt like, why is she here type look. It was respectful and a welcome look. There was the look, people would look at me, but the look was warm, and I love that. And in speaking about the look in Mexico, I found so many people telling me that I'm beautiful. If you look anything like me, go to Mexico, because it wasn't even something that I was looking for, like looking for some kind of validation or looking for people to tell me I was beautiful. But in Mexico, I had locals telling me, oh my god, they love my skin, I look like an Olympian, do I work out? I had some black girl telling me, oh my god, I'm so beautiful, do I model? Lots more locals just being open, being vocal about, oh my god, you're gorgeous. And I was like, this is so sweet. And so that really warmed my heart. That was a highlight for me, the way out of nowhere, unexpectedly, lots of people were vocal about how they thought I was beautiful. And I was like, thank you, little old me, thank you. So that was really a lovely experience for me, if I'm being honest. And kind of looping back a little bit to the food and the coffee shops and the cafes. The coffee shops and the cafes in Merida, in Mexico City as well, just felt like home. They felt that, first of all, of course, they were a good price, or cheap, well, relatively cheap depending on who you're talking to, but they were so well thought out, so well built, so well curated spaces, beautiful. Coffee shops are my thing, they've always been, and I love a cozy space. Cozy space, good music, good people, good food. It was not hard to feel like at home and welcome there. I really enjoyed the spaces. There's just lots of cute shops to visit and to sit in and read or think or journal, or yeah, I had some good times there. Another one, I'll just wrap this up with 2 more highlights. I went to Merida because in my research I found that it's one of the safest cities in North America, and of course, why wouldn't I want to be safe? But I also went there because I wanted to return to Mexico City, or sorry, to Mexico to swim in the cenotes. I had been to Mexico, like I said. I had been to another country, Dominican Republic, that they have cenotes as well, but in both times I hadn't swum in them because I had some fear or trauma related to swimming. But one of the reasons I went was I was ready to swim in the cenotes. So I went, and I had this whole day of just going from cenote to cenote and swimming, so like cenote hopping. And I had the time of my life. Different types of cenotes, some were underground, some were open air, some were in caves and rocks. Like, that made my day, my life. That was amazing. I also, another highlight was definitely going to see the Chichen Itza. It's one of the world wonders. That's another reason why I wanted to go to Mexico, because I thought it would be cool to see a world wonder. 2 world wonders actually in August, but one is to come in the next video. And so yeah, getting to see that was pretty cool. I did other tours. Like I said, they weren't as interesting as these 2, because there were 2 things that I really wanted to see. I also went to the beach while I was there. I went to the Progreso beach, to be exact. It was just okay. But those 2 activities, the Chichen Itza and the cenotes, lovely day. The last thing I would say highlights for me were the Colectivos and I'm looking for the name. Well, the Colectivos and basically like the transport system in Mexico. I found it to be very easy to navigate. Again, I needed some Spanish. I needed to be alert and to like try and explain myself as much as I can, but it was great prices. They work very easily. I hopped on lots of these buses with the locals. I felt safe. I felt welcome. I explored. Like, I love the transport system there. It really works in my opinion, and I enjoyed the places that I got to see or go to with these systems. Those were my highlights. I will talk about, actually I also enjoyed one more. I also enjoyed the fact that they had a cultural event every single night in Merida. There was always something to go out to watch and see and do. Like, what a city. And I really enjoyed having that. I made a good friend at one of those. But even when I wasn't making friends or didn't make the other nights, just like getting to see these people, that was another way for me to like learn about the people, the culture. For me, I found it to be beautiful and lovely. If you're able to ever watch what they call a Poktapoc game, that that was crazy for my brain. But no, I loved my time in Merida and in Mexico as a whole. Those are just some of my highlights that I put together. I will be back to talk about what you can expect in Mexico, as well as I guess maybe some of the things I learned, but that is in another video. I will see you tomorrow with a new video. Bye for now.